In the world of alternative medicine, it can be so confusing because there are so many different forms of supplement therapies, infusion therapies, injection therapies, but most of these things don't support your body at the level of the cell and the mitochondria to create optimal balance in reactive oxygen species, inflammation, as well as cell signaling. That is why I have been so interested in hydrogen over the last 6 to 8 months because it has been absolutely life changing for me and for my family after going through all of the things with functional medicine, all the testing, the supplements, the protocols, and seeing little to no good results. That's why I'm really cautious about who I bring on the show to talk about these specific things. So today I have Mateo Johnson on the show to talk more about molecular hydrogen. Now, he was introduced to me by Dr. Tyler LeBaron, so that's how I know that Mateo is a good guy and stands behind the products that he talks about because Dr. Tyler did make the recommendation for me to talk to him after we had seen such tremendous life-changing results from using hydrogen here in our home. And that's how I got connected with Mateo. So we are going to continue this conversation about hydrogen, talk about how it can improve longevity up to 5 years is what has been tested and proven, as well as support your body at the level of the cell and the mitochondria. It's a really fascinating topic. And if you're interested in anything that Mateo talks about, you can use the code SarahK. They do have hydrogen tablets that you don't have to dissolve in water. You can actually swallow them. And again, after talking with Dr. Tyler LeBaron, the head of the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, I definitely changed my mind a little bit on the therapeutic use of hydrogen tablets. So if you're curious whether or not hydrogen may have a therapeutic benefit for you or not, I always say it's a very low risk thing to try out the tablets and see if you notice a difference. If you do, then perhaps look at investing in a machine down the road. But again, it's a very low barrier, low point to entry to see if there is a therapeutic benefit for you. Again, my code over at Axium is Sarah K. And I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. Mateo is a really great guy and stands behind his mission to really help people. And so I'm excited for you to hear it and stay tuned for more. I'm sure that we will be talking more down the road. Enjoy this episode. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you know I don't really talk about a lot of skincare products because I believe that good skin comes from nourishing and hydrating the inside of your body. But I did just turn 45 and I'm always looking for clean, innovative ways to nourish and hydrate my skin from the outside as well. That's why I have really been enjoying Purity Woods age defying dream cream, and it really does enhance the look of your skin and defy aging. Let's talk about why I endorse this brand above others. Purity Woods' mission is to provide people with the cleanest and most effective healthy aging and longevity products available. All their products are USDA certified organic, non GMO, free of anything artificial, free of toxic preservatives and synthetic additives like pesticides, chemical fertilizers, and dyes, parabens, and it is cruelty free and never been tested on animals before. Purity Woods is currently offering 17% off site wide, but we have an additional 10% discount for our listeners for a total savings of 27%. If you go to puritywoods.com/Sarah or enter the code Sarah at checkout, you'll get an additional 10% off your first order. That's Purity Woods, PURITYWOODS.com, and enter the code Sarah for 27% off your first order. I've really been enjoying their skincare and I think you will too, so check it out. Today's show is brought to you by Upgraded Formulas. They have my absolute favorite magnesium. You can get the best and only clinically studied stabilized nano magnesium supplement on the market from Upgraded Formulas using my code YOGI for 10% off. Did you know that magnesium is actually required for over 800 enzymatic reactions in the body? This clinically studied magnesium has proven to improve sleep quality and energy by over 60%, specifically improving light sleep measurement by 90%, REM sleep by 150%, and deep sleep by 250%. That means more energy, better mood, and deeper sleep. Who doesn't want that? What makes this the best on the market? This specific magnesium is nano magnesium, which means it is easier for your body to absorb and use. In fact, it is absorbed up to 99.99%, which means you'll feel the results instantaneously. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm really excited to have someone here today to talk more about hydrogen, which is something that's definitely been a passion thing for me to talk about lately. So let's jump into it. Mateo, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. And, I feel like we just had this whole other like mini podcast before the podcast, but maybe we can talk about a few of the things that we were just talking about, why you got into this, who you are, and a little bit about what you do. And then maybe we can dive into some of those deeper topics.
Sure. Well, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, my name's Mateo Johnson, and I discovered molecular hydrogen about 10 years ago. I originally, as I was telling Sarah, discovered it through athletic performance. I was a competitive athlete, tennis player, scuba diver. I was a competitive boxer, and many other things. And as a holistic nutritionist, a certified holistic nutritionist, I wanted to find out always new ways and better ways to improve my performance, recovery, and just overall well-being. And so I was studying a lot of other medical gases like ozone therapy and hyperbaric oxygen and things like that. Oxygen restriction with the masks. And all those things and diving deep into YouTube led me into oxyhydrogen and Brown's gases, where I started. And then through more research and getting certified in education at Molecular Hydrogen Institute, shout out to Tyler LeBaron, um, that led me into just pure molecular hydrogen. A lot of the studies out of Japan, they promote more just pure hydrogen instead of the oxyhydrogen mix. And so, yeah, that's how I discovered it. And I saw with my athletic performance, it went through the roof, my endurance, my lung capacity, my hydration, recovery time, sleep. I just saw little things. It's very um, minor changes that are happening on a cellular level that are noticeable. So it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, because it's not a stimulant, it's not a depressant, it's not a drug, it's a molecule, and it's working on a cellular level. And so, out of just being extremely passionate and a researcher, I became researcher, mad scientist, to creating a business after working with a few hydrogen companies, building the machines, doing all the customer service, listening to the customers years after years of what they wanted, what they liked, what they didn't like. I actually couldn't find another brand that had all the things that I wanted. And then I got a medical manufacturer and created Axium H2 about 3 years ago. And to this date, we have $0 in marketing and advertisements. And now we're working with Olympic athletes and NFL players and neurologists, oncologists. We're having the most amazing, amazing, life-changing testimonials. So it makes this mission, hence why, Sarah's very passionate about it as well, because we know the power of hydrogen. And if you don't know, you'll you'll be changed and you'll be converted and you'll want to express this word and the education, the passion behind hydrogen, because it's so astounding.
Yeah, I agree. And it's something I had kind of studied and looked at for years and years, but we got to a place of desperation with my daughter where I'm like, okay, well, we don't have $40,000 a treatment for this, this medical intervention the doctor has recommended, the head of neurology, and the insurance isn't going to pay for it. So what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to support her? And hydrogen just like intuitively made the most sense. I was like, okay, instead of putting something in and hoping that we have a good response on a cellular level, this supports you at the level of the cell so that your body can operate efficiently and your mitochondria are supported. And so that's the difference between this and a lot of other interventions that we talk about in the holistic health world. I don't even consider myself alternative health. I'm like alternative health, because I think like I get functional medicine doctors emailing me every other week to come on to my podcast, and I turn them all down because I'm like, I don't want to talk more about your detox protocols and your supplement protocols and your testing protocol. I don't want to talk about it because I find that that's very disempowering for people. to constantly think, I got to try this one and put this in and do that. And this is the next best thing. And it's like, why can't we go to the root cause of disease and dysfunction in the body, which is when the cell loses adequate voltage, the cell membrane becomes compromised, and the mitochondria stop working efficiently. That's the root cause of like most diseases, most illnesses is this. And so that's why I love these conversations and talking about hydrogen, because we don't have to slam it with all these different protocols. It's like, this is going to support the body at the level of the mitochondria and your cellular health, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's, I did all the supplements, I did the vitamins, I did the herbs, I did the detoxes, I did minerals, and then now I'm working on a molecular level.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, that's a deeper level. And when
Mm-hmm.
we can get, due to molecular hydrogen's size, its molecular size is one of the smallest molecules in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It gives it the highest bioavailability. And that's really the most important thing. Vitamin C works great,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not extremely bioavailable. It can't fit into your cell walls and do
Right.
things like that. And so, and then the safety profile of molecular hydrogen. Sure, there's some protocols, but for the most part, it's ease into it. And
Mm-hmm.
after your few weeks, just go all out. We have clients breathe it 24 hours a day if they're on
Wow.
death's bed,
Wow.
literally pulls them out of death's bed. We have people sleep with it every night.
Mm-hmm.
So, due to its high safety profile, that's another reason I got behind it. Whereas oxygen therapy, you can overdose on it. Now, oxygen become too strong, it's oxidative, ozone as well. And so, hydrogen just seemed to be the safest and actually one of the most effective if you actually consistently use it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like about it too, is like there's not really a downside to it. Yeah, it's very safe for people. I mean, my son drinks the water. He's 21 months, and we all drink it, and I think it's
Hmm.
tremendous. And like you said, it's the changes are gradual. Like for me, I don't really have a bunch of stuff going on, but at 45, I feel like my metabolism is working better. I don't have aches and pains. I don't have all the things that you quote unquote are supposed to get in your mid 40s. I have obviously have a lot of lifestyle and nutrition interventions that I use, and it's not just the hydrogen, but it's pretty remarkable, like to see visible abs on somebody who is either 100 pounds overweight or struggle with 20, 30 pounds for pretty much their entire life. And it's like, wait a minute. Now you're telling me at 45, I've got like visible abs and I can like, what? It's crazy.
Right.
So I'm definitely a big believer, and I've done a lot of shows about hydrogen. I had obviously had Tyler on not so long ago, and that's where I learned about you, because I've had Greg the Hydrogen Man on, and we've talked about the kind of the holy hydrogen machine, and the benefits he's seen. And we have the holy hydrogen, absolutely love it. And we were talking before we turned on the camera. You think that that's still a really great machine, but one of the things that Tyler told me is that the flow rate on the holy hydrogen is not as high as what you've got on your machines. And I'm thinking, like, with my daughter, she's 16-year-old autistic, it's sometimes it was hard for me to get her to sit on that machine. And now we can do much shorter sessions because we've got such a higher therapeutic flow rate, and
Hmm.
continue to see all these amazing benefits. So that's where I got connected with you. We're trying out one of the machines, and I love it. And just as a little testimonial, we have a caregiver that works with my daughter, and she's got type 1 diabetes and just really struggles. She over the weekend, my daughter was like napping all day Saturday, and I was like, well, you want to get on the machine and try it? And she's like, "Can I come work for you like every day this week?" And at the end,
No.
she's been here like every day trying to get back on and inhale the hydrogen
Yeah.
because she loves it so much. I'm like, and I had been letting her use the holy hydrogen, but she's like, "All right, can I just work like every day? Can I move in with you?"
Wow.
Yeah, she
I
loves.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah, because she really struggles with type 1 diabetes. And she's like, what is this? What is this thing? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's been really great so far. We've had it a couple weeks now, and I definitely think it's high quality for sure.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for that feedback. Yeah, we've the product speaks for itself, and that's why we got to where we're at now. And
Yeah.
we're international, we're around the world, we're, big contracts, big companies, and soon we'll be able to share more about all those contracts and big worldwide names and brands that people know about. So it's been a fun mission, and the testimonials continue to pour in. We have an amazing testimony with autism as well, a nonverbal autistic child. And her name, Christina Box, she is a huge fan of ours. She's a beautiful spirit, and she just actually won our testimonial video. We're doing a bottle giveaway for a new product, and she not only healed herself of long COVID with the Axium
With the
products.
tablets.
Yeah, just the tablets, not
Yeah.
even the machine, just the tablets.
Hmm.
And then she noticed her son started saying mom again after 2 years, not saying a word,
Mm.
and passed the physical exam, better moods. He wasn't getting sick when all the kids got sick during COVID and time for cold and flu. He wasn't sick, not once. And so she's been, a huge fan and supporter of us. And, there's a lot of research showing that a lot of autistic things stem from the gut
Hmm.
mind connection, and many other factors. But, I'm not making any medical claims, but the testimonial so far has shown astounding results with autism. We have great feedback from Alzheimer's. We have a stage 4 dementia, totally non-reactive, non-responsive to, just totally there with it.
Wow.
Where are we going? Why are we going? She's feeding herself. One of our doctors here, Dr. Inman, he was working with a client, and her mother was just there during a visit with her daughter. Said, hey, why don't you? The mother had Alzheimer's, was completely checked out. He said, just like this. So why don't you just sit on the machine while your daughter gets the therapy? So she sat on there. Within 30 minutes, total life force came back to her. She's
Wow.
asking where we're at, how we doing. She was just phenomenal. I mean, that's in one session.
Yeah.
So the research is there. It's very limited, but it's there, coming out, showing within 3 months' time, a few hours a day of inhalation of like 600 milliliters per minute, showing astounding results and some reversal of dementia and the symptoms and things like
Wow.
that. Um, and I could go on. The testimonies go on and on and on with inflammation and digestion, erectile dysfunction, um, cancerous tumors dissolving and shrinking. I mean, just wild, phenomenal things. And again, it's all because it's happening at a cellular level. You
Hmm.
repair the cells and boost your mitochondria, improving the electron flow of mitochondria. All this creates this domino effect of what happens in the body on the macro, micro levels. Everything just works better and more efficiently.
Yeah. It's so fascinating. It's funny, the lady you were mentioning, she actually reached out to me on Instagram this morning in
Oh,
my DMs. She had
yeah.
she was going to talk with you today, but yeah,
Yeah.
she had just randomly messaged me today on Instagram before we even chatted, and she was just raving about how much better her son was and how much better she was.
Oh,
And this is literally just from the tablets. And so your tablets
yeah.
are different. I like the tablets. I've been giving them to my daughter also, just one in the morning and then one when she comes home from school. Um,
Hmm.
because with regular hydrogen tablets, they have to like dissolve in the water and you have to drink them right away. And it's kind of this whole thing. With my daughter, it was always really hard to get her to drink the tablets as in the right amount of time. Uh,
Right.
but the tablets that you have, they essentially mix with the stomach acid and create hydrogen in the gut, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. The magnesium that we use, um, with citric acid, that's part of the tablets, and then HCI, hydrochloric acid, part of our stomach, creates this chemical reaction that releases the hydrogen right into our stomach walls. So in our stomach's like a closed container. So all the
Mhm.
hydrogen that breaks down and gets released is all captured directly into the stomach lining and repairs, does wonders for our gut health. And as we know, the gut is so important for hormone production, for the gut mind connection, digestion, and all the healthy bacteria. And it helps to reproduce a specific enzyme called hydrogenase.
Mm.
And this enzyme is what creates hydrogen naturally through a fiber-rich diet.
Right. Yeah, so the
Unfortunately,
gut makes hydrogen. People don't know that naturally, but
yeah,
it's a healthy gut. that does this. So if
Yes,
you don't have a healthy gut, you're probably not making this endogenous hydrogen the way you're supposed to, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah.
yeah, hydrogen's not a foreign element to our body. It's actually extremely natural
Right.
to us. We make it. And we've learned that through antibiotics, just through one round of antibiotics, can wipe out this specific enzyme up to 3 to 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
So it's really important for hydrogen rich water and or the tablets to take those because that helps fight the bad bacteria, increase the production of the good bacteria.
Hmm.
So when you're hitting it through the tablets, through the water and breathing, I mean, this is like a full rejuvenation of hitting at every angle of the body. And as you know, our machine comes with the goggles.
Hmm.
We have
Oh, the
feedback from one of our
headphones.
doctors. Yeah, and the headphones too,
Yeah.
that it's repairing um, detached retina. So
Wow.
we actually have that from our doctor here with the client with the detached retina, is improving vision. It's getting better. And red eye, eye twitch has gone away. Some of the feedback from some other clinics. And then the earphones is a direct route. One of our top neurologist on our team, he says he recommends earphones for all the brain health and brain conditions because it's a
Wow.
direct route through the ear canal to hit the brain. And what we've learned is that where hydrogen gas actually touches, so if it's on the skin, on the eyes, and the lungs, it acts much faster, and we get better, faster results.
Okay.
So depending on the condition, right, it's going to get to all the cells through water and inhalation. But if you have eye issues, we'll put on the goggles. You know, if you have an ear or hearing loss or something with the brain, we'd say put on the goggles.
Mm. A lot of people are quick to talk about the benefits of sunlight, but what gets often missed in the conversation is the benefit of darkness and the importance of protecting yourself from blue and green light after sunset. That is why I choose Viva Rays as my go to source for protecting my circadian rhythms. You can use the code YOGI to save 15% off at Viva Rays. Now, you may have seen some of these studies popping up. I call them fear mongering about blue blockers not being effective. And that is a partial truth because when you use blue blockers that are clear or that have not been tested with a spectrometer to actually block what they say they do, they will not protect your circadian rhythms. And they are not catching those key wavelengths that you need to be blocking in order for your body to be able to repair, for you to make melatonin, which is a master antioxidant. And artificial light at night has been in the scientific literature extensively linked to a host of hormonal cancers, obesity, diabetes, and all sorts of metabolic issues. That again is why I choose Viva Rays as my go to source for protecting my circadian rhythms to allow my body to get adequate darkness at night. You can use the code YOGI to save 15% over at Viva Rays, and you can actually trust that they block the frequencies of light that they say they do. Thanks to Viva Rays for sponsoring today's podcast. So, yeah, with my daughter, she usually gets these ear infections during the summer when
Mm.
we go swimming, which is super frustrating because she loves swimming so much.
Oh,
And we had taken her a week ago and she was like spitting in her ear. That's how we know. I'm like, oh, great, there's
mm.
infection. I put the headphones on her for an hour and she stopped spitting. And then she
Yeah.
spelled on her boards that her ears were better. I was like,
Oh,
so
so amazing.
yeah, I mean, that was like the thing. Like we can't take her swimming. And so that was the other thing I was interested in with your machines because she does have the neurological issues, but also the ear issues that prevents her from enjoying the summer and going and getting in the pool because she gets an infection, even if it's salt water. Like we just can't
You're right.
get water in her ears. So that has been like I'm trying to figure out a way to bring the big machine with us to the beach. Like
Yeah.
I want to take her to the beach. I'm like, how can I safely bring this to the beach so she can swim in the ocean and not get any ear issues? But
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And I had never even thought about that before because I see there's some hydrogen clinics. There's one that I follow that's in Ireland. And they have
okay.
these like bags that you can put on your hands and they'll pump the gas
Yes.
for people who have arthritic hands, which is, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
fascinating. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's wherever the issue's at. If you can put the hydrogen there,
Mm,
it works better. And company I used to work with, they had developed customized bags for limbs.
mm,
So skin conditions and or arthritis, or we had a gentleman with a torn rotator cuff that had a really stiff shoulder. And so we would bag the shoulder and put the gas in there. And he started to see improvements because, again, due to that molecular size, it can absorb right through the skin
mm.
very, very well. Um, so it's just,
Yeah.
we had a new testimonial just came in, a guy, and I'm not a medical professional yet, but he was talking about his reactive proteins. He got a test
Mm.
done, and it
Oh.
was at 19.9, and he had wrote in all cap locks, which is extremely high.
Mm.
25 days later, using our machine, it was at a 0.71. And he
Wow.
said, "This is like virtually a miracle. We can't believe it." And he said, we're obsessed with the machine. He drinks 5 liters of water a day, I believe,
Wow.
with the hydrogen, which is a lot of water, but
Yeah.
hydrogen rich. 2 hours of breathing, and then he had told me he was doing rectal insufflations as well.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
we have used that in our clinics with ozone.
Hmm.
So I'm very familiar with that. And we've had the questions, hey, can we put this in rectally? And I said, yes, but we don't condone that because it's a sensitive area. And without the proper guidance of medical professionals, I can't,
Vouch for
professionally,
that.
yeah. But yeah, he said he just had just astounding results.
Wow.
Um, so you can put
That's
it everywhere in any which way and have good results.
fascinating. Yeah, I'm hoping to get through the summer, give it a little bit more time, but we did all this testing on my daughter last summer before she had like a pretty life-threatening seizure, and we had to be in the
Mm,
ICU for a week, and it was probably one of the scariest times of my life. I also had my son was like a baby at that time, like 9, 10 months
hmm.
old. It was really stressful time. But we had done like all this functional testing of like, and it came back, oh, she's got toxic levels of mold and all these other things.
Mm.
And
Oh
so
no.
I'm giving it just a little bit more time. I want it there to be about a year in between the testing, but I'm curious to see if that has changed. We took her out of the school. I know there was mold at her old school. After she had
Mm.
experience, I was like, I can't ever send her back to that school because they refused to change. I'm like, how can you have a school full of mold for like special needs children? Like, so terrible. But
Wow.
we didn't go back. Uh,
Yeah,
so
good.
I took her out, but I'm also like, I was also told by the functional medicine doctor we were working with that there's no way she would naturally get rid of that type of mold on her own. Um, but
Mm.
like I said, she hasn't had any seizures or violent behavior, any of the stuff that supposedly the mold toxicity was causing. And so I'm kind of like, I wonder if I rerun some of this testing, what it would actually show from doing the hydrogen as consistently as we have.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the symptoms are gone. And so, yeah, it's something to think about instead of, because let's just be honest, this machine that we're using is the one that has a 600 flow rate, is about 3 times the price of the holy hydrogen. And that price point is going to be a lot for somebody who is just wanting hydrogen for like casual use. I would put them more towards tablets. Um,
Hmm.
but if you have a medical condition and you're going in this functional medicine kind of rabbit hole, and it's like $1,000 for this blood panel, $1,000 for this test, and then you got to spend $1,000 on this supplement and detox protocols, all this stuff just like adds up to be like ridiculous amounts of money. So people are gonna, I'm sure I'll get the comments, oh, no one can afford that. Like, you know when your health is in that place and you are having to look at alternative things that you can do, I think that this is an alternative that's good because like you said, it supports the body at the level of the mitochondria in the cell, so that a lot of these other things may not be necessary. Or if you want to utilize them, your body is going to have a much better chance of utilizing them in a positive result rather than I've talked to so many people around the world that do these supplement protocols and detox protocols and they feel worse, or it's like, oh, I feel a little bit better, but I spent like $3,000 on that whole thing. And it's like, you know, I just throw money down the toilet. And so I know that's going to be something I get feedback on, but I just want to frame it that way for people of like, yeah, maybe don't go out and invest in something like this. But if you are at a place where you're like, all right, I got to do something, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, this is a really, really positive alternative that has other benefits as well. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Everything was just spot on what you said. And I have like now I've said it so much, it's like almost my slogan, but I say I don't sell anything.
Mm,
I promote the education behind hydrogen. I answer everyone's questions. I express my passion, and I happen to offer a product and a service.
hmm.
But if someone's like, you got to sell me on this. No, no, I don't want to sell anyone on anything. I
Right.
want you to come to your own conclusions. And I mean, we have, a huge growing list of testimonials. We have medical doctors that endorse us that are not paid to endorse us. They choose to endorse us
Mm,
because this is the product that actually is giving the results. And so, like you said, you could spend $1,000 for a blood panel, 1,000 for a treatment, out of pocket. Insurance covers part of it. You got to pay out of pocket for the rest. Um, but with this hydrogen machine, it's like you have unlimited hydrogen for years and years and years for what's now validated to show improvements in 170 human diseases.
mm,
There's 3,000 studies now, about 1,000 more clinical studies, and the scientific and medical evidence shows improvements in 170 human diseases. And the side effects are better skin health, better digestion, better sleep, right? Better energy,
mm,
right? These are the side effects from using hydrogen. And one of the greatest things that we're now finding out through a multi-million dollar genetics research company out of Canada called the DNA Company.
mm,
They did a 4-month evaluation on the same machine you have, Sarah,
mm.
and they found that it had, through epigenetics testing, reversed the biological age by 5 years in a 4-month span.
Wow. That's
So,
incredible.
yeah, we when we're talking about anti-aging, we work with an anti-aging clinic in Switzerland and different anti-aging specialists and doctors. Dr. Alan Inman, he works and specializes in anti-aging here in Costa Rica. And so people fly in from around the world to see him and to get anti-aging treatment. And this hydrogen is something that works.
Mm,
My company, Axium H2, we only will offer what actually gives results,
mm.
nothing more.
Yeah.
And but besides getting in better health and energy, athletic performance, we work with Olympic athletes, NFL players, and professional boxers, and all types of swimmers and everything. You're getting this anti-aging effect because it's reducing oxidative stress. And when you do the oxidative stress, inflammation goes down and the body can operate how it was perfectly designed to operate. But
Mm,
in an inflammatory state with excessive oxidative stress for years and years and years, this is what puts our body in an environment of disease and disharmony.
mm,
And so hydrogen acting like an antioxidant, it itself is not one, but it acts like one, and also is a precursor to our body's natural antioxidants like superoxide dismutase and glutathione peroxidase. So
mm,
it can actually trigger the production of these good, very strong natural antioxidants if that's what the person needs.
mm,
We also have found in other individuals, they need more oxidants to trigger a response. So we've actually found hydrogen to create a slight oxidative response because that's what the body needed to trigger other reactions to happen. So it acts intelligently for each individual. And that's one of the things that a lot of scientists, they still can't understand how it acts so intelligently and acts differently in each person's body.
yeah, it's like an adaptogen, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love that. Yeah, because it's like we in the health community, like inflammation bad, cortisol bad,
Yeah.
antioxidant good, and it's like, well, the body's not that stupid, you know.
Yeah.
Everything inflammation sometimes serves a good purpose in the body, and it's
Yeah.
there for a reason, to kind of create a hormetic response. And I love that because there have been, I know my partner, Carrie Bennett, we did an episode a while back and talked about antioxidants like vitamin C and CoQ10 and NAD and some of these other quote unquote antioxidants, and showed that there's actually some pretty negative side effects from using these things long term. And in particular, I think a study that was done on smokers where they did high dose antioxidant therapy. I believe it was with CoQ10. Don't quote me on that. Or it might have been vitamin C.
Hmm.
But they showed that the smokers, they were all sick, but the ones that were given the antioxidant therapy actually died quicker than the ones that were not given the antioxidant. I believe it was vitamin C. So it's like,
Mm.
do we really know all that we think we do about the way these things work in the body? Clearly not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's intelligent and selective antioxidant is
Mhm.
what works best. So it can
Yep.
take away the bad oxidants, leave the good ones for signaling molecules. Right? Not all reactive oxygen species is bad,
Right.
right? Some of it's good. And
Right.
so being that hydrogen can selectively neutralize with the only byproduct is water, H2O.
Right.
um so it's not creates this harmful waste or anything. It's just that's why it's called the miracle molecule. It really is. It's and what is our body made out of? Majority is water,
Water. Yeah.
and water is H2O, H2, right? That's the hydrogen.
Right.
So it's a very, very important thing for our body. And with our machines, we actually include, I'm going to move this right here, but you should have
Yep.
received one
I've
of
got
these
one of
as well.
those. Yep.
And it's a digital meter that it measures the amount of available molecular hydrogen in the water, but it
Mhm.
also does a unique test called oxidation reduction potential, ORP.
Mhm.
And we use this as one of many other tests to help give us more information about the water's properties. But what we've seen is that when you add molecular hydrogen into clean drinking water will have a positive oxidation reduction potential, meaning it could have a oxidative properties to the water. But
Mm.
when we inject hydrogen to the water, it actually brings it to a negative ORP, which is an antioxidant potential of the water. And then we think about the water in our body. Do we want it in an oxidative state or an antioxidative state?
Right.
So when you breathe hydrogen, it's like infusing your own body's water, turning it into a negative warp level. Is in theory that's what it does.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I've been playing with that meter to make sure my holy hydrogen is up to snuff, which it is, and then
Uh huh.
compare it to because that's what Tyler was like, there's all these different hydrogen machines on the market and the bottles, and it's like, and even with Kangen, which Tyler and I talked about at length at the podcast that we did, you
Mm,
use one of these testers and it's not even making hydrogen water because the
right.
electrodes are not, they're dirty. They've got a lot of calcium
Hmm.
buildup. There's so many things, like you can buy a hydrogen bottle, spend a couple $100 or $100 on these things, and then test it, and it's not even got hydrogen in it really. And so that's like, yeah, it's always interesting to be able to see, like, okay, it is doing what it's supposed to be doing, um, rather than,
Yeah.
full of and you can buy one of those little meters separately. I know my machine came with one, but someone could probably go on Amazon and buy one of those, right?
Yep. There's H2 meters for around, 25 to $45. Um, and then the one that you have has a pH, ORP, and an H2. But that's another thing, like, with Axium H2, we want to be transparent. We want you guys and empower our clients to be able to test your devices to make sure they're running properly. Because when you infuse it in water, you don't know. It looks the same, tastes the same. You don't
Yes.
really know. But with that meter, you say, wow, it actually did change the properties of the water. This
Yeah.
does have hydrogen, and hydrogen at a therapeutic level.
Right.
Because there's some things that can make some hydrogen, that's not at a therapeutic level. So what does it matter? And or like you said, you had your Kangen and you're using it religiously, and then you learned, oh my gosh, it hasn't even been making hydrogen for how long? I don't know.
Right. Right.
And another thing that's very important too is that, after 10 years being in the field of molecular hydrogen, I've learned that a lot of brands, I can't speak for them all, and they're getting better now, but they're getting hydrogen as a byproduct by altering the pH of the water.
Right.
In this day and age, that's not really what we want to do. Our stomach is
No.
at an acidic state. And if you drink a high alkaline water for long periods of time, you're actually washing out the stomach acid, which is going to harmfully affect your digestion.
Yeah.
And so just because our body needs to reside in an alkaline state, right? The alkaline pH chart from 0 to 14,
Hmm.
7 is balanced, anything above 7. So 7.1 is alkaline. And our body resides at 7.3, right around 7.2, 7.3. And so, and different organs have different
Yeah.
pHs. And so technically, yes, our body resides in an alkaline state, but just slightly, just
Right.
above over 7. That
Right.
doesn't mean, 8, 8.5, 9.5 is going to be healthier. No, you could go into what's called alkalinosis. And so our body is perfectly designed to balance the pH of our body. And yes, if your body does get in an acidic state, you could put your body into an environment of disease growth and things like that. But if your body has too much alkaline or alkalinity, it can grow mold and fungus. So we need balance.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about the Axium H2 machine is that it doesn't alter the pH of the water.
Right.
And so we're just taking the gas, injecting it into water. We're not messing with the pH. And
Mm-mm.
I don't recommend messing with the
Mm-mm.
pH. And I
Mm-mm.
say caution to those out there that have a hydrogen rich water bottle. And you might test it, say, oh, there's tons of hydrogen here. There's 1.7 parts per million, 2 parts per million, 3 parts per million. That's great. You got the hydrogen, but check the pH, because if the pH is at a 10 or above, well, then that's harmful. And
Yeah.
that's not how we want to get hydrogen anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had to memorize all the different organs, the pH for my
Yes.
I just got a board certification with the American Naturopathic Medical Board, and I had
Oh
to
my
like,
gosh.
yeah, I was like, oh God,
Congratulations.
thank you. I was like, oh, I
Amazing.
passed, yay. But I had to memorize like alkalinity of different tissues, and like it is a tightly regulated system, but you don't want to mess with that because again, I think it was Tyler, didn't he have a paper in 2022 that essentially showed uh tissue and organ damage to different animals that were drinking like really high.
IPH.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a real thing. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that Tyler is doing a lot of research, not research, but a lot of education in the Kangen community because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of well-meaning good people bought Kangen
Yes.
machines because they bought into
Yes.
the hype of it. The benefit is hydrogen that those machines make. But the pH thing, I've seen a lot of people get sick after they feel great initially with using the Kangen because I know that it's hydrogen rich water, but they've altered the pH. And so gut issues, skin issues, like all kinds of stuff. I've seen people with the Kangen machines. And so I really appreciate Tyler for going out and educating people and saying, like, hey, if you want to make hydrogen, if you want to use your machine, this is what you need to do. Quit messing with the pH, just use it for the purpose of
Mm-hmm.
hydrogen because you could really,
Yeah.
really mess yourself up by trying to be quote unquote alkaline, like the alkaline thing, people just it's a poor understanding of
Yeah.
the body on this level. It's like, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a myopic view of how the body works. It's not really, it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a touchy subject because, like
Mhm.
you said, well-meaning people
Lots of
are
money.
given, yeah, lots of money, and they have whole careers. And so I've talked to people that, well, they might have heard the truth, but you know what? This is my career. This is how I make money. And I've got, 500 people under me. And so they don't want to, tell them, hey, this is actually going to harm you. I mean, it was just lack of information. It all came from, yeah, just the full story wasn't told through that company.
Mm-mm.
And now, I've been a little bit of the bad guy in the market because I'm like, hey, alkaline water is not what you think.
Mm-mm.
And guilty. I was at the store 5, 6, 7 years ago, getting big drums filled of alkaline water, and I'm doing my part and getting alkaline water, but I didn't realize. And as I dove deeper into MHI, Molecular Hydrogen Institute, and got educated, I learned a lot more about alkaline water. And it
Mm-hmm.
never had to do with the alkalinity of the water. Like you said, those benefits are not to do with the alkalinity of the water. It
Mm-hmm.
had to do with the byproduct of creating molecular hydrogen.
Yep.
And so when we came out with the Axium machine, it said, hey, let's just focus on what we know. We know it's all about molecular hydrogen. That's where the magic was the whole time. And that's what the machine offers. And
Yep.
so I've had to have those hard talks with people, educating them, saying, look, don't kill the messenger. You can go to MHI, you can start looking it up yourself, but drinking alkaline water is not going to put your body in an alkaline state. It doesn't actually pass through the stomach that way.
Mm-mm. It doesn't.
So,
Yeah. And the thing I do like about the Axiom is that I tell people when they get the holy hydrogen, they need to get a water distiller or another purification system. You don't necessarily need that with the Axiom. You just fill the water with distilled water. So you're not constantly filling it with distilled water. You fill it once and the water level gets low. And I've got like, because when I went through, I'm trying to get pregnant, I did like a bunch of deuterium depletion. So I've got a bunch
oh
of
yeah,
5 ppm. Still, I have
very
like
nice.
3 cases of it. So I've just been using the 5 ppm water in my Axiom. So I'm like trying to
Oh, beautiful.
become super powered here because we're not drinking it, we're just breathing it. So um,
Yeah.
that's one thing I like about the machine also is that you don't have to necessarily get a purification system. You could buy some distilled water and have that on hand to fill the machine. So that, yeah, I think that helps too.
Yeah, I love that feedback because that is one of the benefits of the pros of the Axiom is that once you fill it up to that max line or right under
Mm,
the max line with distilled or even better deuterium depleted water, that's about 40 hours, 30 to 40
yeah.
hours of runtime. So a lot of people fill it up once and they run the machine the whole month, 2 months, and then it gets low. And once it's low, you can just top it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very simple to operate. And that's what I learned through the biohacking community is I had all these different gadgets and thousands of dollars on this and this and this. But if it wasn't practical and easy to integrate to my daily routine, I
Mm-mm.
saw just collect dust and then put it in the closet. And I'm like, it's a cool thing, but this wasn't practical. And
Right.
like a hyperbaric oxygen, um, I had one of those. You inflate it, you
Oh
get in
yeah.
it gets hot. And then after I think my second month, I'm like, this isn't practical. I don't want to
Yeah.
keep filling this thing up and waiting. And then when I got the hydrogen, I'm like, I can like do my calls while I have the
Yeah.
inhalation in. I can watch a movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is easy. This is simple. And just one touch to start, one touch to get it going, you know, virtually no maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. So we recommend buy 2 gallons of distilled water when you get your machine, or deuterium depleted water is the best.
Yeah.
And then you'll be good for like months and months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the water making is a little bit different because with the holy hydrogen, it's got the canisters, which those are great. And again, you want to
Hmm.
put distilled water in there, or the calcium can build up on the electrodes and you have to clean it more often. But this one, it's got like kind of an infuser that what I'll do in the morning. Sometimes I've got the holy hydrogen going on the countertop. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'll also kind of just put a glass of water down, pop it in there, go outside, look at sunrise, and it takes like 3 minutes to make a liter of hydrogen
Hmm.
water, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's typically what I've been doing in the mornings, and I let my husband and my daughter drink from the canister or whoever,
Uh-huh.
all of us. That's like a requirement when you wake up at my house is like,
Yeah.
mom's gonna like give you your minerals and then you got to drink your hydrogen water and I'm gonna stand there and like watch you do it.
Time. Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like the mom that's giving the kids their vitamins. I'm like, drink your water, like I'm standing over you. So um
Yeah.
I've loved that because the canister with the holy hydrogen's amazing. I love that. but we'll go through that thing so quickly with it being the three of us. And then my son drinks it too. And so this is just
Hmm.
super convenient. And then we were talking before, and I didn't even know this at all.
Hmm.
Um, the thing with, and I talked with Tyler about this as well, the water, the hydrogen bottles, the holy hydrogen, as soon as the air hits the water, the gas begins to dissipate. But you guys have kind of a different mechanism, I guess it is, with the hydrogen infusion and how long the gas will stay in the water, right?
Yeah. So that is another unique thing and definitely a great benefit with this uh, type of accessory that we use on the machine. And because the machine's original design is for medical grade gas production of the hydrogen gas,
Mm-hmm.
then there's different accessories. And one of the accessories is we use the smallest micron size, what's called a diffusion rod. Basically, it's a rod with a tube that connects to the machine, so the gas gets injected to the rod, and we drop the rod into any body of water. It can be a bathtub, it can be a 5-gallon drum, it could be a gallon of water, it could just be a 12-ounce glass of water.
Mm.
But the uh, big benefit is through this form of injecting the gas into the water creates very, very stable, the most stable form of hydrogen.
Mm.
And so in an active lifestyle, if you have this bottle, which there's a bottle that comes with the machine, the
Mm-hmm.
black Axium bottle, and you take that on your day, it's in the car, you're drinking it throughout the day, it will actually hold hydrogen 6 to 8 hours. It will
Wow. Okay.
slowly diminish because this form of injecting hydrogen is so stable. And as I said before, we did a test that, whoa, it has hydrogen for 24 hours.
Wow.
And then we did another test and we did it 48 hours. And we're like, this is wild. I thought it was only like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we learned that through this form of injecting hydrogen to water is actually how we're getting uh, what we've done in our own tests. 14 days. Now, this was on a shelf. We infused the bottle, we put the cap on, put it on the refrigerator. 14 days later, we tested it, still had the full amount of hydrogen. So
Wow.
what we've learned through this type of injection method, it happens to do how fast the hydrogen leaves is how much the water molecules get excited. So if
Mm.
you take it and you're shaking it up a bunch, it's going to go faster. But if it's on the shelf and you're just kind of sipping it throughout the day, it actually holds it very, very well. So that's one thing that's really cool is that between our tablets and the water, you do your morning inhalation session, infuse your water, takes 3 to 5 minutes. A gallon, we recommend 10 minutes.
Mm.
Then take it throughout your day, and you have hydrogen-rich water throughout the whole day. And
Interesting.
so you can give this to your plants, your dogs, your animals. We recommend it to all your dogs, your animals, if you have a garden. And another unique thing, this might be overkill, but we did find out after the hydrogen has fully left the water, and let's say you shake it up a bunch, it's been 12 hours and there's no hydrogen left in the water, the ORP level never goes back to positive, which
Oh.
is really interesting. It actually stays at 0, which is neutral. And let's say the original state of the water was at a positive 100, 150. With the hydrogen, it drops down to negative 700. And after the hydrogen left after 12 hours, the ORP never went back to positive. So that tells me there's still beneficial effects that change the waters, what seems to be permanently to the water. So even after your hydrogen's left, you still have better, healthier drinking water.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Very interesting. Yes.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's going to change how I do a few things around here for sure. And
Hmm.
yeah, because I always have my glass of water beside the bed at night, and I'm like, well, it's doesn't have hydrogen in it, but I could infuse it before bed, and technically, it could still have hydrogen the next morning. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
necessarily have to like make the make the fresh one when I first wake up. What about the
Yeah.
bathtub though? You mentioned because like that's kind of got me thinking. If it takes 10 minutes for a gallon, I assume it would take like an hour to infuse a bathtub. But then you might like the water might get cold. Like, do you have anyone that uses the machine to do like hydrogen baths?
I have actually it's right behind me. I have a sauna at home, steam sauna with a
Mm.
cold plunge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually make hydrogen rich water. I put it in the sauna to make the steam. So I'm getting hydrogen steam.
Ah,
with like organic eucalyptus oil. So I get
nice.
this hydrogen sauna steam, which is amazing. And then I have the cold plunge. And so I'll just drop the infusion rod in there for about an
Oh.
hour
Oh, I
while I'm
could
in the
do that with
sauna.
mine too. I didn't even think about that because I've got a Morosco forge. Hmm.
Yeah, you start getting creative.
Taking it to the next level here. So yeah, you'll put yeah,
Yep.
because then you don't have to worry about it getting too cold, but you could do it in the cold plunge.
Right. And a cold plunge, right? It can work even better. Um, because heat expands, cold contracts. So typically the colder water holds it a little bit better and longer
Yeah,
than hot water.
makes sense.
But um, yeah, if you do have a hot bath, we just recommend, I mean, I'd put like a 3, 4 hour timer on the machine or even 5 hour while
Hmm.
the bath fills up, just have it running. And then as the bath is full, continue running it. And you could get in the bathtub while the machine's still running.
Hmm.
And actually in Japan, one of their most popular methods is the hydrogen rich baths.
I've heard that's
Uh,
where I heard about it from.
yeah, because your skin actually will absorb more the hydrogen through the skin than you would from actually drinking the hydrogen water.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the cold plunge.
Yeah,
Give
yeah. There you go. That's
me more
awesome.
motivation to get in that thing because I have not been feeling it lately. I'm like, oh,
hmm I
don't want
know.
to.
It's never gotten easier. It still
Mm-mm.
sucks every time.
Yeah, I know. I bought mine like after I had my son. It was my present to myself for going through pregnancy and all that good stuff. And
hmm
yeah, I'm maybe going there 4 times a month, if that.
Yeah.
And during the winter, not really much, but in Georgia, it's like, yeah, it's 100 degrees outside, so I can coax myself
hmm
to get in there. But during the winter,
Yeah.
I'm yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to try
Tough.
it out. So you haven't really done like you said, you haven't done a ton of advertising because I heard about you directly through Tyler and I'm like, all right, if Tyler vouches for it, I'm in. Um,
hmm
but you're mostly what I noticed from your like social media presence is that you're kind of just marketing more to athletes, doctors. You're not really people like me so much. I'm sure people like me are going to hear this and be interested, but you're more trying to kind of work with that community. Is that correct? Or you're like, I don't work with everybody, but that's kind of where you're targeting?
Yeah, it's tough to say. We briefly talked about it before, but originally myself as a competitive athlete, I wanted all the athletes to know about this. And it's been kind of slow process because I think that these pro athletes are on such a strict protocols, what they can use, what they can't use, the anti-doping agency and things like that. So they're very cautious is what I found out. Unless it comes from one of their medical directors or one of their top coaches that says, "Hey, you need this," they they're not really open to it. So now and we have another business partner that has, he's really attacking the oncology and the neurology departments, the little touchier subjects that we're trying to not get too involved with, or we're letting our partner do that.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, originally the company and our devices was designed to work directly with clinics and doctors.
okay.
And after our first, almost second year, we got a really high demand for the more the average person. They're like, "Hey, I want this. I want this for my home. Can you create it less expensive?" And I said,
Hmm.
"Well, I can't jeopardize any of the sensors. We have 7 sensors. 2 of our sensors have sensors. We have self-diagnostics technology built in there. A lot of amazing things that gets us to the results we get. But after about a year and a half, we had such a high demand that we talked to engineers and we created a lower flow rate at 300 milliliters per minute.
Hmm.
So that one sells for a little bit less money than the one you have.
Hmm.
You could still get great results. You just need longer time on the machine.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, our focus is normally with the medical professionals and the athletes. That's the level of quality and results and everything that we wanted to design behind Axium. But absolutely, we have tons of just at-home enthusiasts and users that will go into a clinic, they use it, they say, this is amazing. Like, can I have this in my home while I watch TV? And they're like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, so we do have an at-home model now. That's one of our newer models that we sell to the at-home users. That's more financially tight.
Hmm.
Um, and but a lot of the number one selling machine is the one you have, the HW600
I love it.
cellular
I
optimizer.
want to buy one for like everyone I know. So that
Yeah,
just, I love it so much.
I know, and people will start out with one machine, and then the family's like fighting over it. No, I want to know. I want to use it, and so
Yeah.
they're like, okay, we'll get two machines. One, the husband has one in his office.
Right.
Then the mom has one here, and then now the kids want one, and the kids love to use it. So it's beautiful to see, and it's just it's one of those feel good missions. Like when I get these emails or a message saying, Mateo, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better, my life has changed, my grandma's life, or we have a COPD, we have a testimony of COPD gone on an
Wow.
88-year-old woman.
Wow.
um so it's just, it feels good, it's safe, it works, and we're helping people.
Yeah.
It's like it's a win-win-win.
Yep. I love it. And then if people are like not able to get to a machine price point or need to save up for one, you've got the tablets. And Tyler definitely
Yeah.
shifted my mind on the tablets because for a while I was like, oh, those are heavy metals and this, that, and the other. But Tyler really did a good job when he came on my show to talk about the tablets and how there are lots of clinical studies to show the benefits and that they're not dangerous necessarily. And so I always tell people like try the tablets out first. And
Yeah.
if you notice a big difference with the tablets, then I would look at saving for a machine, trying to make that possible for yourself sometime in the future. But that's always a good place to start. And you can get a lot of great benefits just from the tablets. And it's not a, crazy barrier to entry price point with just trying some tablets, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those were released, I think almost 6 months to maybe a little less than a year after we launched the company with the HW600. Um, and they said, I want to offer something that's different because our tablets are a little bit different,
Yep.
but effective. It's got to be safe and effective. Those are the two first things, effective and safe. And if that's good, okay, we'll go ahead and keep pushing forward with it. And so now our tablets retail for $50 a bottle. It's a 30-month supply. And we have an amazing lupus testimonial.
Oh, wow.
Holy lupus is in total remission.
Wow.
After the woman had it for 5 years, Paige, and she's a really, really awesome lady. And her and her partner started taking them. Within the first 2 weeks, they saw phenomenal increases in energy, skin condition. And then they said, wow, this is something different.
Hmm.
And they had tried everything, everything, everything. And then they found this and they're like, well, I got nothing to lose. Might as well try it. After 4 months on the tablets, they've reported their lupus in 100% remission.
Wow.
And so they said they're saving up for a machine because they're like, if the tablets do this much, like, can't imagine what the machine does. And so, we welcome anyone at whatever price point that works better for them to come join the mission. And unfortunately, people are finding us as a last ditch
That's
effort.
that's where we got
You
to.
know,
It's like people are
and I
like, "How do you have all this money to spend on stuff?" I'm like, "Because I don't have $40,000 for a treatment for one time that may or may not work." That's,
right,
and that's where a lot of people unfortunately get to with our conventional medical system is this like, here's you have to get this treatment or like that's all we can offer you. And
right.
it's like get a second mortgage out on your house to try to get a treatment that may or may not work or you
Mhm.
know invest in one of these machines which is typically going to cost a lot less than some of these medical treatments that again may or may not be helpful. So yeah.
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 Yeah, my goal is just to continue to promote the education behind molecular hydrogen and offer people something that works, a real product that actually works. Like I've almost never, I'd have to think really hard about someone that had used the machine or used our tablet and say didn't work for anything. That's, I don't know. I have to think really hard about that one. And everyone's different, so I don't want to
Right.
promise, anything. Everyone is different, and we know larger people require more hydrogen. It's more space to cover. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a larger person, 250 pounds plus, a bigger guy, he might need 2 tablets, 3 tablets a day for him
Right.
to actually feel something.
Right.
And we've also seen that men, they don't feel anything. We're not as sensitive as some women are.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get like knocked in the head before we feel something. And they're used to like, a triple shot of espresso before they feel something. And if they don't feel that same stimulus, it's like, well, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, you got to monitor not always what you feel. You got to monitor your routine.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say, because things are happening on such a small level
Mm-hmm.
that it's like after a few weeks, you're like, oh yeah, now that I think about it, I'm not having that afternoon nap. You
Right.
know, hmm,
Right.
I'm not waking up as many times during the night. Hmm.
Yeah, that's
And
me. It's like when I do the machine before bed, I just don't wake up at night to pee the whole night. I'm like,
yeah,
huh. Yeah. And
yeah.
it's like my friend Dr. Sarah was staying here with me last winter and she left at the beginning of December. We started doing hydrogen in January and then she came back in April and we always go to this mountain that's not too far. It's like a mile straight up that you have to walk and
Mm,
it's pretty, it's a lot to go straight up for a mile. And
yeah,
when we were going before she left, we both had to stop and like, all right, catch your breath and go a little bit more. She came
yeah,
back the beginning of April after I had been doing hydrogen since January and like I like booked it up that mountain and was like looking back at her like, "What?" She's like, "Have you been
yeah,
coming here training?" I'm like, "I actually haven't even been here since we were here in December." I just
yeah,
like just booking it up this mountain, not even yeah, it's got to be the hydrogen that's increased my lung capacity because I just was like, shoot. So
yeah,
sometimes it's something like that, like, oh, I haven't done this in a long time and I do it again. I'm like, oh, that was easy, So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Some people are, oh, it didn't do anything. I'm like, okay, well, just try to do something you haven't done in a long time.
Uh-huh.
You can use things like that to gauge your progress rather than like having this levitation sort of a moment that
Yeah.
everyone's looking for. Health doesn't typically work that way. It's
Hmm.
gradual things that change that, yeah, is maybe not as obvious.
Yeah. Monitoring your habits. And I've had to remind people, said, I didn't spend too much. I haven't really felt much, and da da da. And I had to start going through our conversation. And I'm like, what about your tennis elbow, that injury? Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about it. Right. Because it just slowly just diminished away, out of
Mhm.
sight, out of mind. And you get back to your regular lifestyle. And you're like, I didn't do too much. And I'm like, what about the chronic fatigue? What about the elbow injury? What about the this and then this and then this? And then when I remind them, they're like, oh my gosh, it's true. I didn't even notice, like, because it's natural.
Mhm.
Things just so casually shift naturally back into an optimum state, and then that's your new state of being every day, and you're just used to it. And then you start thinking, you're like, oh yeah, I haven't actually gotten sick in a while. um so a person in like really good health with no issues, might not be as a wow factor, but we already know it's reversing biological age.
Mhm.
But what we found is that when you push your body to a limit, like your old ceiling, your old plateau where you hit before, then you actually pass that old plateau.
Yeah.
So for an athlete or a really healthy person, we'll go ahead and train really hard like you used to, and then see, and they go, wow. I mean, it's immediately night and day difference. One of the top, boxing females in the world. She's I think ranked number 2 for her weight class. Her name's Yocasta Valle, and
Mhm.
she's out of Costa Rica, but she's on Team Oscar de la Hoya, and she's, one of the top boxers in the world. And she started seeing Dr. Alan Inman, which has the Axium device.
Mhm.
And after 1, 2 sessions, they went and trained in actually their head coach, Mario, he called Dr. Inman and said, hey, what's going on in your clinic? Because the fighters, they're not getting fatigued. Like normally they'd be sweating, totally gassed. They're not at all. They're like, what are you doing? They're like, it's the hydrogen. Now he does other therapies as well, like some mega dose vitamin C and some vitamin drips. But we've contributed all that increased performance and stamina and fatigue, endurance, and all that to the hydrogen.
Mm.
So, and what you said about the hill, we heard that too a few years ago. A woman here in Costa Rica, she came by to get a demonstration on the machine, used it for 30 minutes, was like, okay, cool, thanks. Next day, we got a message. She goes, oh my gosh, the hydrogen works. I did my normal mountain climb and I didn't get tired. I made it to the top without stopping. She said, same exact thing. So we know, we just know it really helps with that lung capacity.
Yeah, it really does. So it's worth looking
So
into.
cool.
And I love these conversations and hope to be able to continue to give people listening positive updates about stuff happening here. And I love hearing stories of people out there that are seeing great health improvements. And I really appreciate you coming on and just well-rounded, balanced conversation. And hopefully we can have more of them in the future. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure allowing me this platform to express my passion and help educate people. And thank you for doing what you're doing as well, supporting the hydrogen mission. Look forward to catching up again soon and hearing more good feedback. And if you want later, we can offer like a Sarah 5 discount code for any of your viewers
Cool.
that to support you and your viewers, a Sarah 5 to 5% off all of our products on the website.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, I'll make
Okay.
sure to put all the links to the website and discount code, all of that in the show notes if anyone's interested in trying these out. And yeah, look forward to talking with you again soon.
Okay. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Evolving Wellness Podcast. Just a quick little reminder, this is not medical advice nor meant to be taken as a substitute for working one-on-one with a healthcare practitioner. And if you enjoy the show, please head on over to Apple or Spotify to leave the show up to a 5-star review. If you're over on YouTube, please leave us a like, leave us a comment. I really appreciate you for being here, for listening to the show, and your support means the world to me as I continue to try to pull guests from around the world to bring you informative content to empower you to make decisions about your own health. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.